Hi, welcome back. This is episode number 2 of American Boathead Interviews, and I still don't have anybody to interview, so I'm just going to talk again. And I hope you enjoy it. I first want to thank you for watching the first episode and sticking with me as I learn how to do this better. I spent a week in the hospital with my newborn baby and my wife, and I really appreciate all you guys sending me good emails talking about, stick it out, it'll be okay, all this other stuff. There was really no problems except for the baby was 9 pounds 11 ounces and the mom weighed $110 when she got pregnant. So it was a tight fit, and it was very intense, and it happened really fast after a week of being due, so it was very intense for me. Anyways, today, since I don't have anyone to interview, I'm just going to go over a few things that I've been wanting to talk about. And you can sit here and listen, or you can turn it off. But I really appreciate you listening. And I would love it if you'd go watch as many videos on my YouTube channel as you can stand. And come at me with some more questions. Also, I've gotten a couple suggestions on who I could interview for this program, and I really do appreciate that. There are actually some that I didn't even know about, so a little added benefit for me there. So today I'm basically going to talk about a little bit of terminology that's going to help understand or help you understand what I'm talking about when I say certain things. I'm not going to go too in depth on it, but after that I'll talk about a hole shape in a little segment I like to call What the Hole. After that I'll do a quick picture of hidden boats, or I'm not sure what I'll call it, from the mind of a boathead maybe, or seen by a boathead, something like that. You'll get it in a minute. And then I want to talk about upcoming live stream events, which I want to do an entire boat build on live stream. So I'll talk about my plan for that at the very end, if you can last that long. Anyways, here we go. So as far as terminology, I've always had a problem memorizing things, and actually right now my biggest nemesis is remembering longitude and latitude, and I'm not even going to go over that right now, but a simple way to remember things is to connect them with visual things. Like when I learned my right and left hand, I went like this is an L, that's your left hand. So I'll just kind of base it on that type of really simple lesson here. I'd like to bring in a special guest to help me present to you the different parts of a boat. This is my little RC boat that's been featured in a few other videos you might have seen. So, as far as left, this is port. This is starboard. The way I remember that is left versus right. The word left is very short, it's 4 letters. The word right is very long. The word port is very short, it's also 4 letters. The word starboard is very long too. So it kind of goes together. Also, I remember left is port and red. So there's a red side and a green side. So all the short ones are on the left. Left, red, and green. Left, port, and red. Green, starboard, right. That's kind of an easy one to get. This is the bow area. Now, to try to nail down exactly which part is the bow is a little difficult, but I remember it's like a bow and arrow. It's the bent part. And on the back, you have the stern. Now, that one I don't really have a trick for, except for the stern is not the bow, and the stern is in the back. And I actually use stern quite often, so it's pretty embedded in my brain. A little hard one is fore and aft. So that's actually an easy one to remember, but it's never used really by the common person. But I remember it by, if you're going under a bridge or past something, this side goes before you, and this goes after you. fore, and aft. So there's a lot more terminology that'll go with the internal workings. When you go to build a boat, there's things like chines. Actually, chines might be down here. I never use chines. I hate chines. Well, I'll have a whole program about chines one of these days. This would be called the stem piece. If there's pieces down here for stability or whatever, they're called strakes, I believe. This top edge here is a funny word. It's called a gunwale. I've never heard it called anything but a gunnel, so it must just be the easy, lazy man's way of saying gunwale. And it actually started from the warships, or those big sailing ships that you see on Pirates of the Caribbean or something. They have all their gun holes sticking out here where their cannons go out, and above that, and usually below it too, they'd have big iron strips reinforcing it, and somehow gun had something to do with it. Gun wall, maybe, I don't know. Gunnel. So that's some pretty simple terminology as far as the boat's concerned. There's another important one here, and it's called getting on plane or getting on step. So basically what's going on there is you have a water level here, and when you start powering a boat, it'll raise up like that because of the pressure against it. And we'll talk about this in a second on our whole what the whole program section. But once it gets on top of the water and that surface tension breaks and it starts, doing the classic boat look, flying across the water, that's when it's on plane. Before it's on plane, it's usually tipped up and it kind of gets up on step. And so now that you know those terms, it should help you understand what I'm going to talk about next, and that is hull shape. And I've had a lot of people talk to me about, on my boats, why don't you put a V on the bottom, and why don't you try this and that for stability? And I'm not classically trained. I don't know if what I'm about to say is bullshit or not, but to me, it seems like if you're not going fast enough to get on plane, you don't need a V bottom. And any V on the bottom is just going to hurt stability because it's going to raise you that much higher out of the water, and you'll have that much less support on each side. So to me, if you're not going to get on plane, you don't need a V bottom. There's a lot of reasons why the V bottom works well. The only reason you don't go with a flat bottom and a curved front, obviously you don't want a square front because you're plowing through water, but with a flat bottom you do raise on top of the water nice and quick, and you lose a lot of surface tension, but you come down really hard on the waves, and when you go to turn you don't have as much control. So there's advantages and disadvantages of both hull type. To anybody interested in going faster with these trolling motors, pretty much the only way you're going to be able to do that is to change your hull shape to be as streamlined as possible and look towards kayaks or canoes or sailboats, especially, to see how they've compromised a little bit of stability to streamline and cut down on drag. And actually there's a big problem with my boats is that the transom in the back, which I explained as the stern earlier, the transom would be the wooden piece that makes the stern, on the back is straight up and down or angled, instead of on a sailboat or a canoe or a kayak where it tapers away. And with my boats, there's actually a vortex or some kind of turbulation that happens after the boat, and it actually creates drag on the back of the boat as it goes because it's just flat. Now, why would you design something like that if it creates so much drag? Well, if you're on plane or on step on top of the water, none of this even gets touched because the water is just, if you look off the back of a boat, it just looks flat, and the boat's just basically flattening the water down and skipping over the top of it. So the back doesn't matter, and actually it probably lets go quicker and lets you get on plane instead of creating some kind of suction. I'm not sure. Like I said, I haven't been trained. Oh, go. So anyways, I think I met my anyways quota. Said it 4 times now. Forgot to do my intro. Like that? A little shorter. Less annoying. So, I would also like to see if anybody else, like me, has gone through their life seeing boats everywhere. Oh my gosh, what if this van just flew off of a bridge and it landed upside down and just kept on going? It's like, when I was a kid, I used to think that literally some vans had a boat on top that they could use, but I was obviously mistaken. So, anyways, that's another little adventure on hidden boats from the mind of a boathead. If you have any other ones, let me know in the suggestions or comment section or whatever happens to be under your method of viewership. So, I'm going to talk about my plans for a live stream boat build. And I think this will get a lot of views. I'm not sure though. A lot of people, there's like a weird thing that goes on with building boats. The reason that you're building a boat instead of a car or a motorcycle or whatever is because you have the freedom to build it however you want. If it floats, it boats. You can just not take anybody's word for it. You're going to have to deal with the consequences, but that doesn't matter. You can build it however you want. You can build it out of styrofoam and fiberglass or big heavy driftwood, or you can build a log raft. You can do whatever you want. So it's hard for me to say that you should adopt my method of building boats or to try to push that on you, but I've done it a lot. I have a few boats, and if you want to copy my boats, I have a system for you to do so that winds up making your boat build much faster and stress-free and come out with the proportions and the look that you might not be able to see as a beginner boat builder. So I'm gonna go ahead and let people see my method free of charge because my intellectual property is so valuable. But I would really love if you guys could go on my Gumroad site and pick up a copy of the dimensions or plans or patterns. I'll trace them out and send them to you personally. If you're listening from New Zealand or London, you know who you are. I still haven't found a way to ship some patterns to you for under $100. So I'll figure that out and try to get some to you. And so anyways, back to the live stream stuff. The first video I want to do on just design and material. So I'll probably be down here in my basement again talking about what wood I'm going to use, what style I want to go for. I'll draw it out. And maybe even take some suggestions from some people on colors and stuff like that, even though I'll probably just keep moving on before I have time. And then after that, I'll try to move everything up to my garage or my place of manufacture and let you see me cutting it out. It might be kind of boring. I'll probably keep them down to an hour or less. And then the episode 3 of that series will probably be the most beneficial for everybody, and that's going to be where I go through how to fiberglass and epoxy resin. It's a little different than most of the people I've seen because I use a two-part epoxy that takes 12 hours to cure, and it has a working time of 20, 30, 45 minutes. So it's completely different than the Bondo resin or any of that stuff where you add a little bit of activator and it goes off really fast, depending on how fast or hot you mix the stuff. So that's going to be really beneficial, and that's also the spot that I didn't cover very well in my boat building guide. Go check it out on Gumroad. And it's it's the it's the part of the boat build that's the most crucial and the hardest to do, and it's keeping most people from getting out on the water and feeling the freedom of cruising around. That's what I'm all about, is freedom. It's freedom of the build, freedom of the ride, all of it is just freedom. You're on your own little island of freedom when you're on a boat. There's just really not a lot of restrictions on what you can do out there, because nobody can see you. Nobody cares. You're just a floating island of freedom. And so after that, I would go into a video about how to set up a motor slash steering slash whole interior of the boat, and top it off with a christening and a boat ride that's hopefully live too. I know I can do a live stream on Facebook from my mobile phone, but until I have 10,000 subscribers, I don't think I can do it from YouTube. I'm not sure. But I'd like to give a quick shout out to my friend Artistic Brit. I'm calling him that whether he accepts it or not. He is starting a podcast, and his audio is top notch. And if you talk to anybody that listens to podcasts, they will tell you quality over content, almost. Like they're hand in hand. If the audio quality sucks, nobody's going to listen to it no matter what you say. And I feel like I'm going to lose some people for that reason. Andrew Jones has a great audio setup. He's really good with computers. He's got his whole thing set up, and I can't wait to watch it. So I'm going to be trying to direct traffic his way as much as I can. If you don't know who SV Seeker is, go look that up on YouTube. He's got just an insane drive for the sailboat project he has going on, and his ROV project, and I would love to get him on an interview someday. I haven't contacted him, and Andrew Jones for that matter, I'd like to interview. I'm not sure how to do that. If anybody has suggestions, let me know. I'm actually thinking about just going ghetto style and holding my phone right here, and they'll be like, and you'll all be like, oh, click, see ya. Anyways, I'm starting to ramble, so we'll let you go. I'm going to be back in about a week, and try to be back every week after that, now that I don't have little baby stuff going on. And I was also sick for a week, and that didn't help either. But it's the middle of the end of winter. It's February, and I can't go out on a boat yet, so I'm just going to talk about boats and build boats and do boat stuff. And I hope you join me. And I really appreciate again that you stuck with me this long. If you've ever made it to the end of my podcast, I consider you a friend. So if you hear this part, thank you. And I will see you again next time. And watch me try to get this thing turned off. It's really funny. And okay. Alright, peace out. Thanks for watching.